Barbados' position on corporal punishment still pending. A suggestion: the island can become self-sufficient in the production of a number of food crops. A group of young people now armed with videography skills. And in sports, Jamaican sprint sensation Brianna Williams tests positive for a banned drug.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. In our top story tonight, there are a number of laws related to children which the international community wants Barbados to change. Among them, corporal punishment, which remains on the law books despite heavy criticism from the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child 2 years ago. Well, children's advocate Faith Marshall-Harris is part of that 18-member council, which meets 4 times a year in Geneva to hear progress reports from close to 200 countries which have ratified the Convention on the Rights of a Child. She spoke to CBC News ahead of the next session in Geneva, which starts on September 9th. Our Ryan Broom joins us live now to tell us more about that discussion. Ryan?
Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, viewers. Well, Mrs. Marshall-Harris was part of the Barbadian delegation which last presented to the committee in 2017. Now, she says while there were some positives, there were also some areas identified which Barbados needed to improve on.
They noted with approval our advances in health and education for children. But then, of course, they spoke about our corporal punishment and the fact that they thought that we should not have it on our law books anymore, and so on. And the fact that they spoke to the fact that the legislation dealing with children was particularly antiquated in Barbados, which is embarrassing to me, actually, because we have the resources to do much better than that, and our legislation goes back to the 1930s and has not really been updated.
Now, what's interesting is that the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child, which has been ratified by countries which are not even in the UN, does not explicitly ban corporal punishment. What it does, though, is prohibit the use of violence or cruel or inhumane punishment against children. Now, Mrs. Marshall-Harris says the suggestion is that parents should find alternative means of guidance and discipline.
I was appalled recently at a woman throwing a hot iron at a child and burning the child. And I'm saying, no, that we have to get our people to understand that that's just not the way we can deal with children and discipline them. And think of the fact that if she'd thrown that at an adult, where would she be today?
Now, the retired magistrate who presided over the juvenile court for a number of years is also pleased with plans to establish the Barbados Youth Advance Corps into which the Barbados Youth Service is to be absorbed. She says she's been pushing for the youth service to be expanded for some time.
I used it a lot when I was on the bench because I signed a contract with the youngsters who came before me and said, well, if you maintain this path, if you just improve on everything you're doing, we are going to forget about all your offenses, maintain good behavior, good school grades until you're 16, and in my contract at 16 you join the National Youth Service. 98% of those who went on that contract with me, who were in the National Youth Service, made good. I think we had a few fallouts, but it was basically that the youth service, got them into really good shape.
Now, another issue identified by the committee back in 2017 was the absence of a 24-hour children's hotline. Through a partnership with the Barbados Association of Social Workers and funding from the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust, one was launched in April. However, Mrs. Marshall-Harris says greater publicity is needed so that more children and adults can report any concerns they may have about the well-being of a child or children. The hotline numbers are 832-3644, 266-3644, and 537-3644.
Barbados has made some strides, but clearly there's still some more work to be done.
get it done, because Barbados is due to make its next presentation before the UN Committee on the Rights of a Child in 2022. It's back to you, Lisa.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, 2022 doesn't give us a lot of time, but we still have some. Now, staying with positive news about young people, over a dozen young Barbadians are now better equipped with the knowledge of how things work in front of the camera and behind the scenes. The 17 young people have successfully completed the 5-week videography program, Video 246. Kishmar Singist was at UN House for the closing ceremony.
The call by a senior government official for all media houses to highlight the positives of Barbadian youth could not have been more timely. 17 young Barbadians can now boast of being trained in the areas of video production, content creation and programming. The fruits of their labor in the form of 1-minute features were showcased during the Video 246 closing ceremony at United Nations House. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, Yolande Howard, says Barbadians must be made aware that those involved in deviant activity are but a small percentage.
If you ever go online and you do your research, you will realize that that is a small problem compared to some other countries, one, and I'm not trivializing it because we don't want to see any deviance at all, but secondly, that there's a lot more happening with our young people that we need to share, because in doing that, it also helps to lend to behavioral change. It also helps to set an example for those who may be on a deviant path or leaning towards a deviant path. So we really need to use our media in a way that will allow our young people to shine.
The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation has been on board from inception.
There's an amazing career to be had in not only local but international television. And CBC is happy to partner not only with UNICEF, but with the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment to make sure that your work is brought to a larger audience. I already love the 1-minute videos that I'm seeing, and if they're accessible to me, I am happy to run them.
UNICEF is also a partner in the venture. That UN agency says it is committed to young people and giving them the best chance possible.
Because we know that the future of Barbados, the future of the Caribbean region depends on you. You are the ones who are going to shape the direction of this country and this region.
The highlight of the day, the presentation of certificates and awards. The Best Video Award was won by Sarah Holder. Congratulations. Kishma Singis, CBC News.
A St. James farmer believes Barbados can produce enough pineapples locally and eliminate importation of the fruit completely. That's the view of Devon Slater from Orange Hill in St. James. Rianne Phillips has more.
Devon Slater started growing pineapples 5 years ago. He tells us how he moved from a single clipping to nearly 40 plants which produce over 4 varieties of the fruit.
My supervisor that I work with, he has some and he gave me some of them, right? And I start to plant from those and I take the seed from the one that bear and germinate them. These are the suckers around this pineapple. What you do when you pick this pineapple now, when you pick this pineapple, you take off these suckers. There's 6 suckers and 1 here, so it's 7. So there's 7 plants again right here now. So all these here now, it make you extend more.
He believes he has the right formula to produce the fruits quicker, but he is running out of space.
To me, I would love some land near me where I could rent a piece and extend it, you know? So that's what I want to do. But I still work, but I do my things, you know? So I would love to extend these here.
Slater's efforts have even been lauded by the Barbados Agricultural Society CEO, James Paul.
We need certainly to look to see how we can assist farmers in terms of trials. That is what is required in this country, right? We don't need to grow any more concrete, especially in farming areas, right? What we need to be able to see is that how do we assist farmers in terms of trials? Because, for instance, that farmer from St. James, he did it on his own, and there's a cost. Because we don't understand that when you do a trial, and you're talking about a year, You had to do this thing for a year. You had to get the seed. You have to make sure you water it. All of these things. You have to have the necessary fertilizer and everything else.
Mr. Slater says he's willing to share his knowledge with anyone who wants to learn to grow pineapples. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thanks, Rianne. Well, it's been a long time coming, but today, 2019 Soca monarch Mikey received the keys to his brand new red 2019 Mazda BT50. MQI's marketing manager Margaret Hoyt handed over the keys while the Soca King received free insurance from Briders Insurance. The NCS CEO Carol Roberts-Reefer was on hand for the presentation. The Soca King says while he loves the vehicle, he's not going to keep it.
I'll be selling, but purchasing one from MQA for sure. Yeah.
Tell me about the vehicle, what you like it?
I love it. Anyone who knows me knows I like trucks. I love a truck. It's real spacious. It drives really well. I test drove it. I had a fantastic time. I'm not sure if it was allowed to say that, but it was a real good, real nice drive. Yeah, really excited.
The truck is valued at $115,000, and MQI marketing manager Margaret Hoyt says it's a hit with the Barbadian public.
Every time we put these vehicles out there, we are guaranteed that everybody in Barbados will see them at the end of the crop over season. It's been a fantastic season. I saw a lot of excitement on the day, as Mikey said earlier. Although they had the rain, fantastic turnout, lots of people. I think for years the guys wanted us to bring in the BT50, and I think that was a real big part of it for us this year. This BT50 is a versatile vehicle. It's something that is used to do work with, or something to do jolly ride or fun, whatever you want to do is that type of vehicle. And I think the guys were happy that we actually put this in the show this year.
Dominica is making the necessary preparations for a new academic institution to replace Ross University that has relocated to Barbados. We hear more in this Marpin television report.
Earlier this year, Prime Minister Skerritt announced that another educational institution had been secured to replace Ross University. Mayor of Portsmouth, Titus Francis, says work on the former Ross University compound is already well underway.
Certainly in the campus property itself, the infrastructure, there's a lot of work taking place within the facility, which suggests that something is coming and something is going to happen very, very soon. The Prime Minister has hinted to that in a number of public statements and so on. After 1 year, we're seeing the government's persistence in its ability to go out and get a replacement for Ross University is beginning to prove itself to be successful. And from all indications, very, very soon, it seems, a new school will open its doors in Portsmouth.
The Guyana Elections Commission is working to complete ongoing house-to-house registration by the end of the month. The instruction was handed down by Chairperson Justice Claudette Singh following deliberations with the commissioners on Tuesday. We hear more in this NCN News report.
House-to-house registration exercise, which is slated to end on October 20, will be halted on August 31, 2019. This decision was unilaterally taken by Chair of the Guyana Elections Commission, Claudette Singh, at Tuesday's statutory meeting. In making her decision, she made reference to the August 14 ruling of the Chief Justice, which stated that house-to-house registration is not unlawful and is constitutional. She, however, noted that in accordance with the ruling, the data garnered from that registration exercise must be merged with the existing National Register of Registrants database, NRRDB. In this regard, she mandated that the Commission move towards an extensive claims and objections exercise before extracting the preliminary list of electors, PLE. Commissioner Vincent Alexander, who had been steadfast in his position that the house-to-house registration process is the only credible way to cleanse the list, has since thrown his support behind the Chair's decision.
Well, I think what's important in the first instance is that the house-to-house information will not be discarded as was required by others, and that information will be integral to the process. In some regards, the process is unfolding. It's still a work in progress.
Over to Jamaica now, where we hear that banana farmers in St. Mary are asking for help as they try to cope with the drought.
Not coping very well at all. We have experiencing the drought situation from as far back as about March. And although the period wasn't all that long like we had in 2015 and 16, but the temperatures that we have experienced this time around was really skyrocketed.
The conditions have significantly reduced their yield, costing them a pretty penny.
Before the drought, we were doing like about 180 boxes.
Per week, I do.
Per week. But now it has gone down to where we can't reap every week either. So it's gone down to almost zero.
They're demanding more support from the government, as they claim too often they're excluded when funds are distributed.